Good morning, students. Welcome back to the class. My name is Mohammad Turab Sohail, Assistant Professor of School of Finance and Commerce of Galgodias University. Today, I'm going to discuss very important topic, that is offer and acceptance of Indian Contract Act 1872. Right. Students, now let us recap of the previous lecture. In the previous lecture, I have discussed meaning of contract, essential elements of contract, and I have also discussed in the previous lecture, that is kinds of contract. Right. Topics are to be covered are as follows. First, I'm going to discuss about introduction. Then I'm going to discuss about the definition of offer. Then how is an offer made. Then I'm going to discuss about the legal rules for valid offer. Then I'm going to discuss about the concept of cross offer and a standing offer. Then I'm going to discuss meaning and definition of acceptance, legal rules regarding valid acceptance, and I'm also going to discuss about the causes of lapse of an offer. Right. Now, students, I'm going to discuss the introduction part. As you know, a contract may be defined as an agreement between two or more parties that is intended to be legally binding. The first requisite of any contract is an agreement consisting of an offer and acceptance. At least two parties are required. One of them, the offerer, makes an offer which the other, the offeree, accepts. An offer is an expression of willingness to contract made with the intention that it shall become binding on the offerer as soon as it is accepted by the offeree. Right. An offer is also called proposal. The word proposal and offer are synonymous and are used interchangeably. An offer can be made by any actor which has the effect of communicating it to the other. An offer may either be an express offer or an implied offer. According to the law, an offer can be accepted only by the person to whom it is made. Hence, we must know how to identify the person to whom the offer has been made. From this point of view, an offer may be specific or general. When an offer is made to a definite person or a particular group of persons, it is known as specific offer, and it can be accepted only by that definite person or that particular group of person to whom it has been made. Right. Now let us discuss a definition of offer. According to subsection A, define the term proposal as follows. When one person signifies to another his willingness to do or to abstain from doing anything with a view to obtaining the assent of that other to such act or abstinence, he is said to make a proposal. In other words, an offer is a conditional proposal made by a buyer or seller to buy or sell an asset, which becomes legally binding if accepted. An offer is also defined as the act of offering something for sale or the submission of a bid to buy something. The person who is making the proposal is called offerer or promisor or proposer, and the person to whom the proposal is made is called as offeree or promisee. For example, A made an offer to B to buy the house. Here, A is the offerer or promisor or proposal, and B is the offeree or promisee. Right. I hope it is clear to everybody. Now, students, let me make you understand how is an offer made. You know, guys, an offer can be made by any act which has the effect of communicating it to the offer. An offer may either be an express offer and an implied offer. Let me make you understand express offer in a simple terms. When an offer is made by words spoken or written, it is termed as an express offer. When A says to B that he wants to sell his book to B for 500 rupees, it is an express offer. Similarly, when A writes a letter to B offering to sell his car to him for 1 lakh, it is also an express offer by A. According to Section 9 of Contract Act says, in so far as the proposal or acceptance of any promise is made in words, the promise is said to be express, right? Now let me make you understand the concept of implied offer, right, in a simple term. You know, implied offer means it is an offer which is not made by words spoken or written. An implied offer is one which is inferred from the conduct of a person or the circumstances of the particular case. For example, public transport like DTC in Delhi or BEST in Bombay runs buses on different routes carrying passengers who are prepared to pay the specified fare. This is an implied offer. Let me make you understand the implied offer with another example. For example, when a coolie picks up your luggage to carry it from the railway platform to taxi, it means that the coolie is offering his service for some payment. This is an implied offer by the coolie, right? A bid and action is an implied offer to buy. Section 9 says that insofar as such proposal or acceptance is made, otherwise than in words, the promise is said to be implied, right? I hope it is clear to everybody. Now students, I'm going to discuss legal rules for valid offer. First one is offer must intend to create legal relation. Second one is terms of offer must be certain, definite and not vague. Third, the offer must be distinguished from a mere declaration of intention. Fourth, offer must be distinguished from an invitation to offer. Fifth, the offer must be communicated. Sixth, offer should not contain a term that non-compliance of which would amount to acceptance. Seventh, special terms or condition in an offer must also be communicated. Right, I'm going to discuss these points in detail in the next slides. Right. Students, the first legal rules for valid offer is offer must intend to create legal relation. Let me make you understand in a simple terms. You know, an offer will not become a promise even after it has been accepted unless it is made with a view to create legal obligations. It is so because the very purpose of entering into an agreement is to make it enforceable in a court of law. A mere social invitation cannot be regarded as an invitation offer because if such an invitation is accepted, it will not give rise to any legal relationship. For example, A invites his, his friend B to a dinner and B accepts the invitation. If B fails to turn up for dinner, he cannot go to the court to claim his loss. In social agreement, the presumption is that the parties do not intend to create legal relationship. Right? Now let me make you understand the second legal rules for a valid offer, that is terms of offer must be certain, definite and not vague. Let me make you understand in a simple terms. You know guys, no contract can be formed if the terms of the offer are vague, loose and indefinite. The reason is quite simple. When the offer itself vague or loose or uncertain, it will not be clear as to what exactly the parties intended to do. A vague offer does not convey what it exactly means. For example, A promises to buy one more horse from B. If the horse purchased earlier proved lucky, this promise cannot be enforced because it is lose and way. Similarly, in the case when A agrees to sell his car to B for rupees 30,000 after making necessary repair, what are necessary repairs is a debatable question, and such the offer is not valid, right? Third important rules for valid offer is the offer must be distinguished from a mere declaration of intention. Let me make you understand in a simple terms. Sometimes a person may make a statement without any intention of creating a binding obligation. Such a statement or declaration only indicate that he is willing to negotiate. An offer will be made or invited in future. For example, an auctioneer advertised in a newspaper that a sale of office furniture will be held on a certain date. A person with the intention to buy furniture came from a distant place for the auction, but the auction was cancelled. He cannot file a suit against the auctioneer for his loss of time and expenses because the advertisement was merely a declaration of intention to hold auction, right? Fourth rules for a valid offer is offer must be distinguished from an invitation to offer. An offer must be distinguished from an invitation to receive an offer, to make an offer, or to negotiate. In the case of invitation to offer, there is no intention on the part of the person sending out the invitation to obtain the assent of the other party to such invitation. On the other hand, offer is a final expression of willingness by the offerer to be bound by his promise, should the other party choose to accept it. In case of an invitation to offer, his aim is to merely circulate information of his readiness to negotiate business with anybody who on such information comes to him. An invitation to offer is not an offer in the eyes of law and does not become a promise on acceptance. Right? Fifth legal rules for valid offer is the offer must be communicated. What does that mean? Let me make you understand in a simple terms. An offer must be communicated to the person to whom it is made. The first part of the definition of proposal emphasizes this fact by saying that when one person signifies another his willingness to or abstain, it means that an offer is complete only when it is communicated to the offeree. You should note that a person can accept the offer only when he knows about it. An offer accepted without his knowledge does not confer any legal right on the acceptor. There can be no valid acceptance unless there is knowledge of the offer. In the case of Fitch versus Snedeker, offered a reward to anyone who returned his lost dog. F brought to the dog without any knowledge of the offer of reward. It was held that F was not entitled to the reward because F cannot be said to have accepted the offer, which he was not aware of. In other important case of Lalman Shukla versus Gauridat Ji and his servant, right? Sixth important legal rules of valid offer is offer should not contain a term the non-compliance of which would amount to acceptance. The offer should not impose on the offeree an obligation to reply. While making the offerer cannot say that if the offer is not accepted before a certain date, it will be presumed to have been accepted. Unless the offeree sends his reply, no contract will arise. For example, A writes to B, I offer to sell my scooter to you for rupees 7,000. If I do not receive a reply by Wednesday next, I shall assume that you have accepted the offer. If B does not reply, it shall not imply that he has accepted the offer. Hence, there will be no contract. However, the offerer can lay down the mode by which the acceptance is to be communicated. Right? Now, students, let me make you understand the concept of cross offer and standing offer in a simple terms. First of all, I'm going to discuss here cross offer. Two offers which are similar in all respect made by two parties to each other in ignorance of each other. The offer are known as cross offer. Cross offers do not amount to acceptance of one's offer by the other, and as such no contract is concluded. In other words, cross offer is a contract law term that refers to an offer made to another in ignorance that the offeree has made the same offer to the offerer. In a cross offer, both the parties state to each other the same proposal. For example, A of Delhi by a letter offers to sell his house to B of Bombay for rupees 10 lakh. At the same time, B of Bombay also make an offer to A to buy a house for rupees 11 lakh. The two letters cross each other. There is no concluded contract between A and B because both the parties are making offers. If they want to conclude a contract, at least one of them must send his acceptance to the offer made by the other. For example, number 2, an offer by A to sell to B certain terms, and an offer by B to buy from A on the same terms, unaware of the A proposition that at that time is an example of a cross offer, right? Now, students, I'm going to discuss meaning and definition of acceptance, right? Acceptance is an expression by the offeree of his willingness to be bound by the terms of the offer. This results in the establishment of legal relations between the offerer and offeree, right? Now let me make you understand the definition of acceptance in a simple terms. According to section 2 subsection B of the Indian Contract Act defines the terms acceptance as when the person to whom the proposal is made signifies his assent thereto, the proposal is said to be accepted. A proposal when the accepted becomes a promise. For example, offers to sell his book to B for rupees 100. B agrees to buy the book for rupees 100. This is an acceptance of A's offer by B, right? Now, students, I'm going to discuss very important topic, that is who can accept the offer. Let me make you understand in a simple terms. An offer can be accepted only by the person or persons to whom it is made. An offer made to a particular person, a specific offer can be accepted only by him and none else. The rule of law is that if A wants to enter into a contract with B, then C cannot substitute himself for B without A's consent. In case of Bolton versus Jones, A sold his business to B, but this fact was not known to an old customer C. C sent an order for goods to A by name. B supplied the goods to C. It was held that there was no contract between B and C because C never made any offer to B. If an offer is made to the world at large general offer, any person can accept the offer provided he has the knowledge of the offer. You have seen in Carlyle versus Carbolic Smoke Was Company case that the lady accepted the offer by using the smoke balls. Similarly, in case a reward has been offered by giving information about missing person or a lost article, any person who gives the necessary information first shall be entitled to the reward. Right? Now, students, let me make understand how an acceptance is made. That an offer may be either expressed or implied. Similarly, the acceptance may also be either expressed or implied. When the acceptance is given by words, spoken or written, it is called an express acceptance. For example, A offers to sell his book to B for rupees 220. may accept this offer by stating so orally or by writing letter to A. The acceptance may also be implied by conduct. For example, A offer a reward of rupees 100 to anyone who traces his lost dog. B, who was aware of this offer, find the dog. He is entitled to reward as he accepted the offer by doing the required act. Take another example. A enter into DTC bus for going to Rajghat. This is an implied acceptance by A and he is bound to pay the fare of the bus. Right. I hope it is clear to everybody. First legal rules regarding valid acceptance is acceptance must be absolute and unqualified. According to section 7 subsection 1 of the Indian Contract Act provide that in order to convert a proposal into a promise, the acceptance must be absolute and unqualified. This is so because a qualified and conditional acceptance amount to a counter offer leading to the rejections of the original offer. No variations should be made by the offeree in the terms of offer while giving acceptance. Any variation is made in terms of the offer, the acceptance will not be valid and there will be no contract. For example, A offers to sell his scooter to B for rupees 8,000 and B agrees to buy it for rupees 7,500. It is a counter offer and not an acceptance. If later on B is ready to pay rupees 8,000, he is not bound to sell his scooter because his counter offer has put an end to the original offer. Sometimes a person may accept the offer subject to a contract, subject to formal contract, subject to contract to be approved by the solicitors. In such cases, no contract arises because a condition may remains to be performed in the future. For example, A bids was provisionally accepted at an auction sale. The acceptance was subject to confirmation. Before confirmation, however, A withdraw his bid. It was held that because acceptance was not absolute, it was subject to confirmation. A can withdraw his bid before it is confirmed. Right. Second important legal rule regarding valid acceptance is acceptance must be in the prescribed manner. What does it mean? Let me make you understand in a simple terms. Where the offerer has prescribed a mode of acceptance, it must be accepted in that very manner. If the offer is not accepted in the prescribed manner, it is up to the offerer to accept or reject such acceptance. But when the acceptance is not in the prescribed manner and the offerer wants to reject it, he must inform the acceptor within a reasonable time that he is not bound by acceptance since it is not in the prescribed manner. If he does not do so within a reasonable time, he will be bound by the acceptance. For example, A makes an offer to B and say, send your acceptance by telegram. B sends his acceptance by a letter. A can refuse this acceptance on the ground that it was not accepted in the prescribed manner. But if A fails to inform B within a reasonable time, he will be deemed to have accepted the acceptance by ordinary letter, and it will result in the formation of a valid contract. If, however, no mode has been prescribed, it should be accepted in some usual and reasonable manner. Right, I hope this point is clear to everybody. Third important legal rule regarding valid acceptance is acceptance must be communicated. It is very important rule. You have learned in the definition of acceptance that it should be signified. In other words, the acceptance is complete only when it has been communicated to the offerer. A mere mental acceptance is not evidenced by words or conduct is no acceptance. In Brogan versus Metropolitan Railway Company case, an offer to supply coal to the railway company was made. The manager wrote on the letter accepted, put it in his drawer and forget all about it. It was held that no contract was made because the acceptance was not communicated. Communication of acceptance does not mean that the offerer must come to know about the acceptance. Even if the letter of acceptance is lost in transit or delayed, the offerer is bound by the acceptance because the acceptor has done all that is required of him. You should note that the offerer, while making an offer, cannot impose a burden on the other party to communicate his refusal or rejection. He can certainly prescribe the manner in which the offer is to be accepted, but he cannot lay down the manner in which it is to be refused. For example, the offerer cannot say that he does not hear anything from other party within 7 days. The offer will be deemed to have been accepted. This point can be illustrated by the well-known case of Welthouse versus Windley. In this case, F offered by letter to buy his nephew horse for $30, saying, "If I hear no more about it, I shall consider the horse is mine." The nephew sent no reply at all about told Rindley, his auctioneer, not to sell that particular horse as he intended to sell it to his uncle. Windley, however, sold the horse by mistake. F sued the auctioneer for conversion. It was held that F will not succeed as his nephew had not communicated acceptance and hence there was no contract. Right. The fourth important legal rules regarding valid acceptance is acceptance must be communicated by a person who has the authority to accept. Right. For an acceptance to be valid, it should be communicated by the offeree himself or by a person who has the authority to accept. Thus, if acceptance is communicated by an unauthorized person, it will not give rise to legal relation. The case of Paul versus Lee can be mentioned in the support of this point. In this case, P applied for the post of headmaster in a school. The managing committee passed a resolution appointing P to the post, but this decision was not communicated to P. However, a member of the managing committee, in his individual capacity and without any authority, informed P about the decision. Subsequently, the managing committee cancelled its resolution and appointed someone else. P filed a suit for breach of contract. It was held that he was not informed about his appointment by some authorized person. Hence, there was no communication of acceptance. Right? I hope this point is clear to everybody. Now, fifth legal rules regarding valid acceptance is acceptance must be made within the time prescribed or within a reasonable time. Let me make understand this heading in a simple terms. Sometimes the offerer, while making the offer, fixes the period within which the offer should be accepted. In such a situation, the acceptance must be given within the prescribed time, and if no time is prescribed, it should be accepted within a reasonable time. What is the reasonable time depends upon the fact of the case, where an offer to buy shares of a company was made in June, but the acceptance was communicated in November. It was held that because acceptance was not given within a reasonable time, the offer had elapsed. Right. I hope this point is also clear to everybody. Right. Students, let me make you understand the concept of communication of offer and acceptance in a simple terms. Right. First of all, I'm going to discuss the communication offer. According to Indian Contract Act, the communication of an offer is complete when it comes to the knowledge of the person to whom it is made. That is, when the letter containing the offer reaches the offeree. For example, A of Delhi sent a letter by post to B of Bombay offering to sell his house for ₹10 lakh. The letter is posted on April 5th and this letter reaches B on 7th April. The communication of the offer is complete on 7th April. In the above example, if the letter containing the offer never reaches B, but B comes to know about the proposal from some other sources and send his acceptance, it will not amount to proper communication of the offer and so no contract will arise. Right? According to Section 4 of the Contract Act, communication of acceptance is complete as against the proposal when it is put in course of transmission to him, so to be out of the power of the acceptor. B. As against the acceptor when it comes to the knowledge of the proposal. Thus, the offerer becomes bound by the acceptance as soon as the letter of acceptance is duly pulled by the acceptor. But the acceptor is bound by his acceptance only when the letter of acceptance reaches the offerer. Right? Then I have also discussed the definition of acceptance and the legal rules regarding the valid acceptance. According to section 2 subsection B of the Indian Contract Act, it defines the terms acceptance as when the person to whom the proposal is made signifies his assent thereto, the proposal is said to be accepted. A proposal when accepted becomes a promise. Then I have discussed the legal rules regarding the valid acceptance. That is, acceptance must be absolute and unqualified. Second is acceptance must be in the prescribed manner. Third, acceptance must be communicated. Fourth, acceptance must be communicated by a person who has the authority to accept. Fifth, acceptance must be made within the time prescribed or within a reasonable time. Sixth, acceptance must be given before the offer lapses or is withdrawn. Then I have also discussed in my lecture what are the causes of lapse of an offer. First one is by lapse of stipulated or reasonable time. Second is by death or insanity of the offerer or the offeree before acceptance. Third, by failure to fulfill condition precedent to acceptance. Fourth, by rejections of offer by the offeree. Fifth, if it is not accepted in the prescribed or usual mode. 6. By counter offer by the offering. 7. By revocation. Right. These are the practice question, guys, for you. First one is what is the definition of offer and what are the rules for a valid offer. Second question is what is the definition of acceptance and what are the rules regarding the valid acceptance, right? And third question is what are the causes of lapse of an offer, right? These are the references from where I have taken the content. Thank you so much, students. Thank you so much for listening my lecture very patiently. Thank you so much. God bless you all. Thank you.